Hey everyone, it's Rob the Undead Gamer here, and I've just finished reading a review on RPGSite, which, if you've never heard of, is a website dedicated to all things RPG, spanning all consoles and all subgenres of RPGs. It's an awesome site. I'll have the link to the website down below, and more specifically to the review I've just finished reading, which is a review on Final Fantasy Type-0. Yes, it's another Final Fantasy video. I know, I'm sorry, I keep doing these a lot. I've done a lot of these, and I'm sorry, but I've just finished reading the review and I'm really excited. And this is kind of a semi supporting video again for Operation Suzaku, which I did a video for, or my last gaming video was for Operation Suzaku, so if you want you can go check that out as well. But I've basically just finished reading a review of Final Fantasy Type-0 on the RPG site. Basically what they did was they got an imported Japanese version of the game, so we are still without a Western localized version of the game, which is what Operation Suzaku supports, and after reading this review of their imported Japanese version, it makes me want this game even more, after literally finding out a lot of things about the game I didn't know before. Some things I had vague ideas about and sort of knew of after doing a little bit of research, but this review sums up why I want this game to be brought over to the West, and why you, if you're at all interested, should want this game to be brought over to the West. So Final Fantasy Type-0 is a PSP game, and it is huge. Apparently it is huge, so big that it comes on 2 UMD PSP discs, which is ridiculous. I'm not sure if any PSP game has got so much in it that it's had to be put on 2 UMD discs. I mean, you've got Final Fantasy IV, the complete collection here, which has basically got 3 games plus a little bit more in it. It's got the soundtracks and everything. And that's on 1 UMD. Yes, admittedly, it's all like a little slight upgrade on the 16-bit graphics. It's still 16-bit graphics, but with a slight modern-day upgrade. So yeah, it's not going to be as much as what Type-0 is going to be. But you know, a game that's that big still only has 1 UMD, but I mean, obviously this is to do with the graphics and the software that they're using for Type-0. So there is a huge world map instantly in Type-0. This is all from the review, that you've got this whole world map, and basically from just to sum things up, from the sounds of it, I'm really excited, but from the sounds of it, you should want to play. It appeals to old Final Fantasy fans, fans of 7, fans of 8, fans of 9, even the previous games, 4, 6, all of those, the original, real down to it, Squaresoft Final Fantasy fans. This game looks like it appeals for these Final Fantasy fans. It's got so many elements, and throughout the review, as you read it, it reminds you of what it basically says. This feels like an old Final Fantasy game. It feels like I'm playing Final Fantasy 7. It feels like I'm playing Final Fantasy 8. That's what the review was saying. You've basically got this huge open world map, and it's scaled like the original games, where you'd roam around this open world map, but you'd be sort of a little bit bigger than a town, and then you go into the town. Obviously it's all normal, but it's basically the world maps like that in this game. And that's awesome, because that's the real old flair. That's a real old touch from the original Final Fantasies, which is great to see in such a new title. Everything RPGSite have said have been so positive, in that it's not sounded at all like what we've come to see from Final Fantasy nowadays. It doesn't seem like anything from 13. It doesn't seem like anything that they've done recently. About as close to 13 as it gets is obviously its lore and its mythos, with the Fal'Cie and the l'Cie. But apparently from the review, these elements and things like that take an even bigger role in the game than 13. This is not me saying this, is RPGSite saying this. So before you get all 13 fanboy on me, that's basically what they're saying, that the whole fallacy and l'Cie take a bigger sort of, there's more in it. It's a bit meatier, as it were, like the mythos and the reasons why there are fallacy and l'Cie. And one of the two, I think it's l'Cie, they're a lot more powerful, or the sort of the good guys of the two. I got well confused in 13. Yeah, hate me for it, I don't care. But one of the two that's the good people, they get turned into crystals. Basically, they're a lot more powerful in sort of completing their tasks, basically. So in this huge world, the story is basically a huge world war, let's be honest. A lot of different nations in this one world being attacked by this one country who is led by Cid, no less. Yes, the Final Fantasy classic Cid is the big bad in this game. He's the main antagonist, and that's really cool. I don't think that's ever been done before in a Final Fantasy. Well, 13 you had Cid. He was a boss in the end, wasn't he? Really, Cid Reigns or whatever his name was. But that's pretty cool. So he's like the main baddie in the game. And they're basically warring against all these other nations for control of crystals, the crystals. That each nation has a crystal of power, which they use and whatnot, and basically Cid and his country are planning to take all these crystals for world domination and classic evilness. And basically the nation that you play, the nation of heroes, they're like a school of magic, and this kept being referenced in the review. They kept saying how it's so much like, but in a good way. They weren't saying it's just a copy of, they were saying it in really good ways. I couldn't praise it enough, that it just reminded them of Balam Gardens and Final Fantasy VIII, the whole military school island type thing. And that's basically what they were saying about the heroes and the heroes you play that come from the country in Type-0. Now there's about 14 characters to play from, and that's quite a big cast. I don't think there's been a bigger cast of heroes or playable characters since probably Final Fantasy VI. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's probably the biggest casts since. And one thing that RPGSite couldn't get enough of was the fact that all these characters in their own way were unique, amazing, interesting. You wanted to know more about them. You know, they were likable. They were all relevant with the story, with their motivations in the plot, and all sorts. They were all relevant, interesting, and had their own unique skills, abilities, magics, weapons, and uses in the game. They weren't just sort of what's come to me and some other fans, in my opinion, that some recent Final Fantasy characters are just stupid, irrelevant, don't even need to be there. Hope, Varn, Penelo. So it's nice to see that they're all relevant and good, and you want to play these characters. Another awesome thing, which I think is totally new, and was actually an idea that was derived from Final Fantasy XII, and what was originally going to be in Final Fantasy XII was airship battles. I will repeat that, airship battles. Basically, from the sounds of the review, you take control of an airship and you go into battle and stuff. But apparently it's not like typical dogfights where it's like airship versus airship. It's more like airship versus dragon. So that's cool. Another great addition that they're putting into this game is chocobo breeding. Woo! So as you go about the world map and whatnot, you can obviously ride chocobos, which is just classic and awesome, but you can also breed chocobos. I'm not quite sure the ins and outs of it all, but it's probably breeding chocobos for money or for items or to get the best sort of chocobo and different things like that. So I'm presuming they give you buffs or something. I really don't know, but chocobo breeding sounds fun. Chocobo. So aside from the world being so big and real classic in its Final Fantasy sense of a world map, where you're bigger than everything. There is tons and tons and tons, according to the review, of side quests, little missions, and lots of different villages and places that you can go to explore, and each village is unique and interesting. It might not be very big, but you know, they could only fit so much on, you know, what was already, or what is now, 2 UMD discs. So, but you know, on top of that, in the villages you've got all these little different side quests, which is great. So you know, that further increases your gameplay, and in no way, shape or form does this game sound linear at all. It doesn't seem linear in the sense of what 13 was. This seems like a huge game, fairly similar to how it's reminding me of the scale of it and side quests to 12, because I thought 12 was a pretty massive game and had tons of side quests. You know, you could definitely occupy your time doing lots of different things other than the main quest. If you got a bit fed up with the main quest, you know, your only alternative wasn't just grinding. You could go do hunts, sort of grinding, but you could go do hunts, you could go do other things. There's lots of different little side quests that you can do in that game, and I think that's great that they're implementing this in a newer title. And one thing that is obviously going to be on sort of really everyone's lips for a Final Fantasy title, a new Final Fantasy title, is the battle system and what that's going to be like. If you've played Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core or Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, then you'll know that the combat system is pretty much an action-based combat system, and I think that was a pretty good battle system for that game. Now, the battle system in Type-0 is derived from that, but it's improved on a lot. This is what the RPGSite's saying. It's derived from that battle system, but it's had a lot of improvements. Just described as action-based tactical combat system, a bit better than Crisis Core. So it sounds interesting. I mean, I look forward to see what the battle system's actually like, and you know, it'd just be interesting to see what they've done with it. And it's something clearly that's new, and we'll see how it goes. Also, you can't have a Final Fantasy game without summons, and this game is chock full of them. Known as gods or some sort, I can't remember what they said, but they're sort of like war gods. I think they said they were called war gods. Known as war gods in the game, there are tons and tons of summons, and all of them, if not, well, not all of them, but most of them are well known and classic summons. Bahamut, Ifrit, Shiva. The list goes on. So that's really great. I mean, you can't have a Final Fantasy game without summons, so it's great to see that they're in this game also. So I think that basically wraps things up with what I've read on the review, and please, definitely, if you're interested, go check it out, and after you've done so, go and support Operation Suzaku. As I've said, this is a organisation that are planning to, or a fan-based organisation that are planning to and want, are petitioning for the release of a localised Western version of Final Fantasy Type-0. I've already spoken about it in another video, link to which will be down below and elsewhere, and so, you know, check that out also if you want to know more about Operation Suzaku, because I just speak about that in that video. But I'm going to do now definitely all I can to get this game localised and make Square Enix bring it over to the West, because I'm so excited for this game. After reading the review, you'll know what I'm talking about, and you'll understand why the West should have this game and why Square Enix need to release it, because it just sounds amazing. It sounds like it was made for classic Final Fantasy fans. You know, the people who are in the development team of this game are Square Enix legends from classic Final Fantasy titles. Enough said, really. And you know, I can't stress enough, if you are at all interested in this game, 1, go check out the review. 2, support Operation Suzaku, because that's our only bet to get this game localised. All you need to do with Suzaku is go on the website, put in your email address and sign the petition. That's it. There's no sign up, it doesn't cost anything. Just go on the website, I'll link it down below. Just go on the website, all it is your email address, I believe your postal code, just so they can see whereabouts in the world you are, and that is it. Go do it, because it will just help the cause so much. And if you want Final Fantasy Type-0, that's our best bet so far. And trust me, you want this game. It looks amazing. So go check out that review. And as always, guys, I'm the Under Gamer. Thanks for watching.